George is very unique. I'll let him tell the story, but he has cornered the market on being very successful in a whole bunch of thought-changing organizations in a very short period of time and then moving to the next one. I guess IMG, NASCAR, and Bruin Capital come to mind, but tell us about your career in 30 seconds.
That's quick. So we had a nice run at NASCAR, nice run at IMG, and we're back at it again at Bruin Sports Capital. We've invested in 7 companies in about 24 months with one fund, and then I'm also the chairman of a fund called Courtside Ventures that's invested in 15 early stage digital companies. So we're back at it, we're ready for action and having a good time.
Let's go broad at 30,000 feet relative to Bruin Capital. It's a risk anytime you take your credibility and you go from running a large organization to running another one to effectively a startup. At your level, it's a different startup. You wouldn't have done it if you didn't have confidence in your ability, but also that the economy wasn't right.
Well, I have to give some people credit.
Yeah,
I worked for Ted Forsman. I learned a lot from Ted. I worked for Bill France and the France family. Learned a lot there. Worked for John Portman. I learned a lot there. So I think that background really prepared me well for what I'm doing now. I will say, I started out in January of 2015 in the Regis temporary office by myself. And today, Bruin Sports Capital, our portfolio companies, have 1,100 employees and 24 offices operating in 9 countries around the world. That's a lot in a short time, but it's been a lot of fun.
How big did you say you were in January 15 when you started that one office?
It was just one. It wasn't even an office. It was me and a phone. Yeah. But we're really pleased with where we are.
The success of startups like that is, I assume you can't afford any major mistakes, but also you have to pick and choose your targets.
Yeah, and as a startup, we have wealthy families that are global backing us up, as well as WPP, who's buys 42% of the ads in the world. So we had really strategic investors that gave us a lot of credibility. And then, we've been at this for 25 years, and I think that's why, our client base includes UEFA, FIFA, the NFL, ESPN, Sky, Mercedes-Benz, Anheuser-Busch. We have blue chip roster of clients.
Primary mandate of Bruin Capital?
Well, one of the things, we want to take a long-term perspective in growing business. So we have long-term patient capital, and we just want to grow and build great enterprises.
Sector you really enjoy, obviously then segue into digital, but
well, I think our boldest bet or investment is a company called DeltaTray. DeltaTray is an end-to-end media services company that's 30 years old that really provides the back-end technical solutions to FIFA, UEFA, the Premier League, the European Golf Tour, the BBC, Sky, NHK, Global. And they're very good at what they do. They've been the back end to some of the biggest events in the world, the World Cup, the UEFA Championships, the Olympics, the cricket. And so we're betting on media and technology for the future.
George Pyne, can we generalize about media now? It's so hard to do it because it evolves every day. But certainly the device that we watched content on are far different than the devices that our kids watch content on. Where's it going?
Well, it's going on many platforms. I have 4 teenagers, and in my teenage years, outside of sports, really don't watch TV.
Right.
And when they watch shows, it's on a device. So being around young people by force of habit, you can see people are consuming news and information quite differently. And even an old guy like me, I'm consuming it differently. So if you want to grow, you're going to have to be part of the channel change. You can't change it.
As you pick your, no pun taken, because it's a serious thing. How do you pick your investment spots in a very volatile media space, especially since you don't know what it's going to look like tomorrow? Well,
the company, one of our bigger investments, DeltaTray, has been in business for 30 years. Okay. And they've been providing solutions to their clients for 30 years. They started in linear television. They started collecting data at Formula One. And with their clients, they've migrated to becoming a solutions provider, an integrated approach. So we have tried and true companies.
And so the evolution long-term between the big guys, who are the big content guys, the 4 networks that everybody remembers, and the Yahoo, Snapchats, Amazons, Facebook, where is the bidding on rights issues going? Are we all going to amalgamate? Are they all going to joint venture? We don't know the answer, but what's your prediction?
We don't know the answer, and the rights are tied up and staggered, which will make it a little bit more later developed. But I always think, when you look back in America, what was Fox before it had the NFL, and then after the NFL. And I believe someday there'll be a new media distribution outlet that will make a big bet on sports rights. And just like the NFL changed Fox forever, I think that'll change media as well. When that happens, who that is, that's to be determined.
Do we all agree that that is one of the most important determiners of the value propositions of franchises going forward, because everybody's saying there's got to be a ceiling, and there's never a ceiling?
Well, sports rights have been going up for 25 or 30 years. I remember going into Bill France every couple of years saying, look, there's a bubble, sports rights are high, we're not going to get the increase we're going to get, and he'd say, listen, young man, you're wrong. And you know what? He was right and we were wrong. So I can say this, clearly sports rights will be the most valuable entity in the media landscape. What happens within the media landscape and how it all shakes out, I think, is to be determined.
And the biggest problem, I assume, you as a master problem solver on both sides of the aisle, so to speak, how do you deal with the sports as reality TV versus the ability to archive everything, and the advertisers not understanding through their agencies that there is value to both? That's got to be a big issue.
Right, but you know, the great thing is sports is a lifestyle and it engages people, and so I think with all the new devices and all the way to experience things, I think it actually increases the engagement. So I think the changes in media are actually create more value over time, and I think that creates more options for advertisers.
All right, George Pyne, the businessman. So let's talk a little bit about IMG and your ability to ride the wave of an amazing global company. Did you ever think, I mean, when you started with it, it's a heck of a story, but it's Mark McCormick's story, but then it's Teddy Forsman's story.
Yeah, I mean, look, both guys accomplished tremendous things. What Mark McCormack did was incredible. He built a company that was truly global and was one of a kind. And so, you know, I never met Mark, but I would have loved to met him because he was a phenomenal entrepreneur. And look, Ted Forsman came in and bought IMG for $750 million and sold it for $2.4 billion. Right. So that's my definition of a success. And I'm sure WME and IMG are going to go on to do great things as well in the future.
And then your NASCAR perspective. If you called it a family business, you would demean it, but yet it's run as a family business. But it's $1 billion business, and so what do you take away from being involved there?
I think, one, I love working for a family business because all you have to do is convince a family member of what the right thing to do is, and they did it. And of course, 95 to 05 was an incredible run at NASCAR. You know, when I started at NASCAR, it was called Winston Cup Racing. It wasn't called NASCAR. And 16 races were on the Nashville network. So to start there and end where we did was a great run.
It's also incredible that George Pyne has the ability to define success and failure based on his particular length of time with a company that he's been involved in. How do you do that?
I don't know. I'm lucky.
You're more than lucky. A couple more on NASCAR, then we'll let you go. Monster Energy, good brand, bad brand, young demographics. Sprint was such a great fit, but they couldn't control everything. So what's your take?
Well, they've had great title sponsors over the years. Even Winston, in its era, did a lot of great things to help grow the sport, absent the tobacco issue. But Sprint was a terrific title sponsor. Look, Monster Energy, the positives of Monster Energy is they'll use the property, and it will reach a younger demo, which is important to NASCAR.
Management style, you've been in three incredibly diverse organizations. Commonalities, differences?
Well, I think I've learned a lot. I'm a lot more polished than I was 10 years ago.
By the way, I can attest.
But I do think each experience for me, IMG at NASCAR, I went in, built something from the ground up, really. IMG, I came in at a very high level and had to work that was different. And so those two experiences really shape who I am today, and I think have better prepared me for what I'm doing.
Tremendous left guard at Brown, protected Mark Donovan. We've had him on before. As he said off camera, made Mark Donovan into the good-looking guy he is now.
That's true.
Sackless.
And he's got a good-looking wife, so I really took care of him.
Better-looking wife than Mark, got to tell you that. Could you have played in the NFL?
Who?
You.
I don't know. You know, my dad, my granddad, my brother all played in the NFL. I got hurt a lot, but I'm happy with how I turned out. I was the smallest guy in my family, so my brothers picked on me, even though I was the oldest.
And Virginia Tech is in good shape.
That's my brother Jim. He was a heck of a player. Started 100 games in the NFL and has his number retired. And if you go to Blacksburg, you'll see his name in the end zone.
So Boston gets this as well. Boston sports fan, future
Love
Boston
it.
sports. How do you feel?
You know, you can take the guy out of Boston, but you can't take Boston out of the guy. My kids are all Boston sports fans, even though we've never lived here. We go to Falmouth in the summertime. Love the Patriots, Celtics, Red Sox, and Bruins. Had a paper route. Saved my money. Used to buy tickets, take a friend to Foxborough Stadium, and to watch the Celtics. I even went when the Red Sox lost in 1977 when they blew the 14-game lead.
Was that the Bucky Dunn home run?
I bought tickets to 4 games that in September that the Yankees swept the Red Sox. I used all my paper route money. So wow. I go way back.
That was, by the way, the first unsuccessful venture that George Pyne has ever been affiliated with. So, and the other thing too is, I've done interviews when George has been in Dallas and he puts the kind of fake Southern accent on.
Yeah,
you can
how y'all doing? Now, I got a company we bought in Italy, Delta Trade.
I can't imagine with your Italian.
So now I say ciao. I used to say y'all. So there you go.
That's perfect. Ladies and gentlemen, I will tell you, 10 years ago, you'd have heard some crap. That was really polished.
Thank you. Good to see you. My pleasure.